ever gone into your child's room and they look so precious just laying there sleeping that you just want to go in there and you have to give them a little kiss on the cheek? The lights are off and it's dark and they've been playing in their room before they went to bed. And then all of a sudden you feel a stabbing pain in your foot that goes all the way up into your body. And that good feeling was gone? Hi, welcome to FaithWorks Designs. I'm Faith, and today hopefully we're going to be doing something about that. All 5 of my children love Legos. Like, all of them at one point or another have loved Legos. And we always have a problem with them being all over the house because we don't have like a designated place for the Legos to go. We never have. So I'm hoping today that we're going to take care of that. We'll see. Let's get started. Okay guys, as far as supplies go for this project, you're going to need at least a yard and a half of fabric. My fabric was 60 inches wide, and so it was like a little less than a yard to be able to do this. And speaking of fabrics, I got this fabric from Dazzled Custom Fabrics. I'll try and make sure that I leave a link below. I just found them and they have this fabric that looked like Legos, and I'm like, that is perfect. Oh my gosh, had to get it. Then you're also going to need a yard and a half of lining fabric. And then for the actual play mat, I had 2 pieces that were 44 by 44 inches. So whatever this, you can make it larger, you can make it smaller. I found that 44 by 44 is like perfect. So you just kind of have to go by and make it and then see if you like it or not. Then you're going to need some fusible foam interfacing. This is what's going to give the box its shape, and so that it'll kind of stay in this shape. You also need interfacing on the inside. You're going to be attaching that to the lining. And that, again, just gives it this shape so that it will stand on its own. And it'll stay like this, hopefully, unless kids smash it. Anyway. The last thing that you're going to need is you're going to need the pattern from So Sweet Patterns. I believe they're on Facebook and they have their own website. I'll link that down below as well. They're Faithwell storage bins. You're going to need that pattern. It's actually free. I take that pattern to create this box, and then I kind of show you what I did to adjust the pattern so that you can make your own. So let's get started, guys. So right now I took 2 pieces of fabric that are 44 inches by 44 inches, and I folded them into fourths. And what I did was I took my tape measure and I went from the corner 22 inches all the way over here and marked all the way around so I can get my circumference. This is going to give us that round part of our play mat. So I'm going to go ahead and cut that out. Now take one corner, pull that out of the way, and put a pin right here on, on both of them. Alright, so after you got your 2 large circles cut out, what I did was I took my lining piece to the inside lining of the bucket, and I marked it down the center. I needed to find the middle, and then I took my ruler across from the middle. I took it across and I marked it 5.5 inches. So it looks to be right about in the middle. Then what I did was we put the pins in the middle of our 2 pieces. And then what I did was I lifted it up like this to make sure that I was right in the middle of the big ones, if that makes any sense. It's basically in the middle of the circles. You just need to find the middle so that everything is even on both sides. And then mark them, and then what I'm going to do now is I'm going to trace around this and then cut that out. Alright, the next thing that I've done is I've taken a 44, well actually this one is 60 inches. My fabric came in a 60-inch by 1 yard fabric. Most fabrics from the store are probably going to be around 42, 44 inches. so you may have to add an extra strip attached at the end, but mine is 60 inches. And so what I'm going to do is I've got the piece of the circle, or the half circle that I cut out, and I'm starting at one corner, and I'm going to clip until this strip runs out, and then I'm going to start at the other end and clip until that runs out, and that way I have my opening for my strings to pull it all together. So on a couple of videos, people just folded them down and then attached them to their fabric like this. I feel like eventually that's going to work itself out, and you're going to have a raw edge to look at. So what I did was I unpinned it for just a minute, and I'm going to roll stitch that under. I'm going to take another clip off. Let go, fabric. And I am just going to stitch that down. You'll need to do that with both ends. I just feel like that is going to last a little bit longer. You're doing all this work. You don't want to have raw ends poking out and wish that you had closed that end off. So, and then we're just going to sew that down. Okay, so once you have your little tube for your stuff to go through, you've got that all clipped up. What you're going to do is you're going to grab your second piece of fabric that's just like this one, and you're going to attach them on the sides. We're not going to be clipping around this part just yet because we're not going to be sewing that, but we are going to be going all the way around this circle. Okay, so if you're using a fabric that has any type of stretch, that is going to be so much fun. Mine was cut, my second piece was cut on the bias because I was trying to piece two pieces together just to use the fabric that I had so I didn't have to pull out more. So one of them was cut on the bias and it was kind of stretchy. So if you have any stretch, take your time, wiggle it around and work it to where it'll work where it needs to be. Now after you've gotten it all the way clipped, all the way around, you need to start at the part where it has the little cutout. We're not sewing that part, okay? We're leaving that open. Also, if you wanted to, and I think it would be a whole lot easier, if you wanted to, after you clipped the tunnel or the canal for the string, if you wanted to go ahead and sew that first, it would probably be a whole lot easier than trying to sandwich everything together. So I do it again. I'll probably just kind of base stitch this canal down and then put both of the fabrics together and sew them. So that's just you know, I'm learning as I'm going on this thing because I've never made it before. So we're just going to start stitching. So, have you ever been sewing and you're just trucking along, it looked really, really good, and then you lift it up when you're all finished and you realize that your bobbin ran out? Like 5 seconds into you doing what you were doing? If we can make electric cars and do surgery inside of the womb, why can't we get a full thing of bobbins? Full size. Like, alright, so that's what she looks like all laid out. The very next thing you're going to do is get some paracord, or something that you can use as like a pull string, because you're going to take it from this end and you're going to pull it up. I'm going to use paracord just because I'm more familiar with it. So you're going to start at that end, thread it all the way through, across here, all the way through to there. Make sure that you burn the ends of your paracord so it doesn't unravel. And then we're going to set this aside for just a minute and work on the front part and the handles. Okay, so for the handles, I cut out a piece that was 1.5 by 15 inches. What I'm just going to do is I'm going to fold it up like this where the edges meet from the folded edge, sewing up, and then I'm going to leave a gap right here so I can turn it inside out, and then I'm just going to sew around. Alright, so I sewed all the way around, made sure that I left an opening so that I can turn it inside out, and then before I turned it inside out I cut the corners so that it would turn a lot easier and smoother, and then that's what it looks like when you're all done. So you've got one of your little handles for the sides. The next thing that you're going to need is this side panel from Sew Sweetness. You're going to cut it out, whatever the measurement is, and then what we're going to do is completely disregard all the instructions. Go ahead and do the fusible foam and get the fabric ironed to it really good. And then what I did was I went ahead and took the handles that we just made, and I measured 7 inches this way and then 7 inches that way, and then I went ahead and I pinned down my handles. Now what you're going to go ahead and do is I would just do like a little stitch on the side and a little stitch on the side. You can do the X, you can do a square, you can do whatever you want to attach the handles so that they're not going anywhere. Now remember, kids are going to be handling this, so you might want to make sure that they're on there really good and not going anywhere. So you kind of have to disregard some of the instructions she gives you in the video, but for the most part that's one of the only changes. Alright, now that our handles are sewn on and they are not going anywhere, I went ahead and went around my square twice because I didn't want, and I back stitched both times. I just want to make sure this isn't going anywhere. If this breaks after you put it all together, you basically have to take it apart to be able to fix the handle. So we wanted to make sure that that was done properly. So I took my time with that. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to put the two sides together and sew at a 1/4 of an inch seam all the way down. Is decide which end is up on your box. If you have a directional print, then you're going to have to really pay attention to which end is going to be up. But it doesn't really matter with the Legos. I put the handles kind of right smack dab in the middle, so that's not going to matter. Probably should have put them more towards the top, but whatever floats your boat. Alright, now we've got to find, and I'm going to scoot you back a little bit. To be able to put the bottom on, we're going to have to find the 4 corners. And what you're going to need to do is get a pen and flatten this thing out as much as you can. And then find that middle, just like that, and put that pin there. Now, we're going to meet the seam with the pin like so. And then we're going to flatten it out and put a pin right there, and then put a pin on the other side. Now I'm going to put those in better when I turn the camera off. Now what you're going to want to do is go ahead and get the bottom of your box, and you're going to do the exact same thing. You're going to find 4 corners so that we can match everything up, and the box will come together pretty easily. Alright, so grab the bottom, and you're going to fold this in half as well. And then stick a pin into that one side. And this is also how she does it in the other video, to put the bottom together. So you can just follow along with that if you want. Alright, now we're going to put those pins together. You should have 4 pins. You need the 4 corners of the bottom of this so that they measure up with those. Now, the next thing that you're going to do is you're going to put right sides together. So, I'm going to find the seam of this, and I'm going to get some clips now because this is going to, I think I'd end up murdering myself with all of these pins. So, basically, put the first pin with the center, and then I'm going directly across from there and putting these pins together. And then turn it around. We're going to find the 4 corners first, and then we're going to go around and kind of clip everything together. Go straight across. Now, because I love pins so much, I'm grabbing my clips. I do not want to be stuck to death. Make sure that if you move things around a little bit, your inside fabric may have come unattached from the fusible foam. Mine did a little bit because I was moving it around. Make sure that you're catching that fabric with your fusible foam, so when you sew it, it'll all go together and you won't have missed your fabric. Now you're going to take this to the sewing machine. She suggests using I believe it's a 1/2 inch seam allowance here, just to make sure that it's sturdy. I'm actually going to go around it twice and just make sure that it's nice and sturdy and it's not going anywhere. So I forgot that I was going to need a little flap so that the lid is connected to the box, and of course I've already sewn up the box and everything like that, but that's okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to sew around this thing, leaving a space open just like we did for the handles, and then I'm going to turn it inside out so it looks really neat, really good. Make sure that you cut the corners. Now I made this with the fusible interfacing, or the foam stuff, because I wanted it to be beefy. This thing is going to have to hold up with kids pulling and tugging and everything like that. So I wanted it to be pretty strong and hopefully last a little bit longer. So I would put the foam in there just to make sure that it's not going anywhere. Now the next thing you're going to need to do is grab your bucket. What I'm going to do, since I've already got everything put together, I'm going to measure about two might be enough. Let's see. All right, dropping stuff. All right, let's see. About 2 inches. Let's see what that does. Yeah. Okay, look, when you've been sewing this long that you can eyeball 2 inches, you're doing good. All right. So I'm thinking 2 inches is going to be good. And then I can adjust this strap to the lid when I'm ready to attach both of them. So go ahead and like top stitch this down so that it doesn't go anywhere. Hey guys, Future Faith here, looking all relaxed because I'm sitting down and editing. And the video was almost 18 minutes long. So I'm going to cut it off here. Don't worry, I'm going to go ahead and finish editing the second video, and I'm going to pop both of them up the same day. Statistical wise, people just don't like the longer videos, so I'm going to break it up into 2 parts, and you can start watching the first one, and the same day I'm going to put the second one up so you guys can see from start to finish how I made the Lego box. If you like this video, you can give it a thumbs up. Or if you'd like to subscribe and hang around and see what else I'll be making, because I'm really excited about the next couple of things. I'm finally free. It's almost Christmas. Anyway, if you want to hang around, hit that subscribe button. If you have any questions about the Lego box or the pattern, something specifically I changed in the pattern, then just leave it in the comment section down below and I will get back to you as soon as I can. You guys have a good day, and thanks for joining Faith Works Designs. Bye guys.